All right, so last video we talked about how we can encounter situations where equations may not be able to get into the factored form. So we say, all right, if that's the case, we can still solve it, but we'll solve it by using quadratic formula. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at a few examples and see how we can solve it by using quadratic formula. Now, this is a little work habit that I have for beginners. Okay, it's just something that we do to make things more clear. Like, for example, now, as I said earlier, everything must be in this form of in this standard form. Okay, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Okay, it has to be equal to 0. So by looking at this form, we can now go ahead and write down a, b, and c values from here. Okay, now I'm going to give you a moment, and could you go ahead and try it out the a, b, and c values? Write them down on your paper. Okay, what are the A, B, C values? Okay, all right, so are we good? Ready? So the A value is 1, B value it's -5, and C value it's -14. Okay, so a couple of things right here, making sure that there is an implicit 1 in front of x squared. Okay, so it's not 0, it's 1. When we do the ABC values, making sure that you pay attention to the sign right here. So if it's a minus, that means the B and C values are indeed negative. Okay, and so you will go ahead and use the quadratic formula. Now I'm going to write this at the top. Uh, Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, this is what I would do. I'm going to use a lot of parentheses, okay? And I'm going to spare enough space. And I'm going to make sure that the square root extends long enough to cover everything that's underneath it, okay? And again, everything should be done like you're going to show substitution. Now, here's the reason why you really want to consider using these parentheses, okay? Number one, you want to prevent any kind of careless mistakes that you would make with negative numbers. With parentheses, you make your job very easy. You know the quadratic formula? You just go ahead and plug in these numbers into the quadratic formula. All right, you do not think too much. You would just go ahead and plug them in. And then after you substitute in these numbers, then you start processing these numbers. Be like, oh, what is negative of -5? It is just 5. Okay, and then you have a square root. Make sure you draw the square root long enough. And then -5, and then the whole thing squared. So -5 times -5, it's 25. And then you have a negative here, you have a negative here. So it ends up to be a positive, okay? Now, always take care of the sign before you crunch the numbers, okay? So you know it's plus, and then you do 4 times 14, which would be, what is it? 56, okay? And then 2 times 1 is 2. And then you have 5 plus or minus, and then 25 plus 56, it's 81, and then it's over 2. And then we would say, hey, what is square root of 81? That's actually 9. So we have 5 plus or minus 9 over 2. So we can now go ahead and break down these two scenarios. We have 5 plus 9 over 2 and 5 minus 9 over 2. You cannot leave this as the answer because you can actually get some concrete numbers. So 14 over 2, and then that's equal to 7. On the other side, you have other possibility, you get -4 over 2. So x is equal to -2. So the solutions or the roots would be x equals to -2 or 7. Okay. Now, I hope you can see how things are putting together. Okay, so for the past week or so, we were doing all these radicals, simplifying the square roots and complex numbers. Why we were doing all those is to train your habits, okay, to make sure that you are able to crunch numbers so that you are able to handle situations like this. Okay, and let me move this a little bit over. Now, let me make a few comments. Okay, let me make a few comments on where people tend to make mistakes. People tend to make mistakes. The first part where people tend to make mistakes would be right here. They either do not write down the values, or they thought they know the values, but they made a mistake over there. That's just kind of sad. The hottest area that people make mistakes would be pretty much right here and right here. Okay. Now, be very careful with your mental math. Okay. Yes, you are going to do this without a calculator. You are going to do this without a calculator. Okay. So please make sure that you can do the mental math properly. Double check, okay? Double check or find ways, okay? Find ways to check your math. Like for example, how would I know that it is definitely equal to 81? Now we can do this, okay? You are adding 25 to 56, right? Go ahead, do 56 plus 20 first, okay? 56 plus 20 is 76. And then you plus the remaining 5, that's 81, okay? So you can always break down the addition, okay, or subtraction to your liking so that it makes it more clear to yourself, okay? So that's pretty much how we do quadratic formula. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you one more look of what it's like. Let me go ahead and move everything over, okay? So we can have more room for the other question. All right, so what about this question? Do the same thing. We list out the A, B, and C values. So A is 4, B is 8, and C is 3. Okay. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, just double checking that you did your only job, okay, substituting correctly. And then now you crunch the numbers, okay, you make things simpler. What is this? 4 times 4, it's 16. 16 times 4, it's 16 times 3, it's 48. And then over 8. Okay. And then we have negative 8 plus or minus. And then you have 16 right here over 8. And square root of 16, it's simply 4. All right. So you've got negative 8 plus 4 over 8, or negative 8 minus 4 over 8. So negative 8 plus 4, it's negative 4 over 8. And then you got negative 12 over 8. So you've got x is equal to negative 1/2, and x is equal to negative 3/2. Oops, negative 3/2. Okay. So negative 1/2 and negative 3/2 are the roots. Okay. So that's it. That's really what it is when we deal with quadratic formula. Okay, now next video we will go over 2 more examples, and they are going to be more exciting. Okay, they are going to be more exciting. For this case, we have two roots here and two roots here, which is nice. Okay. Now, but before we go to the next video, I just want to make sure that what is the significance of these so-called roots, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. These roots are actually related to x-intercepts. Okay. Like for example, when we say, oh, the roots are -2 and 7, that means this quadratic equation, it's gonna cut the x-axis at -2 and 7. So it's gonna be like this. Okay. If you draw the parabola, it's gonna be like this. Okay. And then over here, when we say, oh, it's equal to -1/2 and -3/2, these are the 2 points that that's the parabola it's cutting. Okay, so that's why we care, but we will do more about, we will look at the graphing part more tomorrow, but today we just focus on using the quadratic formula to get the roots. And why do we care about the roots? Well, it's related to the x-intercept, so that's one thing that we will take care later on. Okay, so the next video we will go ahead and take a look at 2 more examples. Okay.